Have you ever made that small, selfless choice for someone else's good? So, yesterday I was on my way to work, and I don't know if you've ever been in this situation before, but I was in the middle lane, and there's a right lane and left lane beside me. And the right lane is usually a lane where people will drive along the side and they'll make a right hand turn. Now, someone about, I don't know, 200 meters, about 600 feet back, was blocking that entire right lane. And no one was coming through. It was very busy, rush hour traffic. You're talking about hundreds of people that were, being held up. And I had a brief moment where I thought to myself, this person is being super selfish. And then I thought, what are you talking about? They're not. They're just trying to weave into traffic. And you know what they always say? When you're struggling with something or you're really easy to point out someone else's sin, it's probably because the sin in your life is you're struggling in that area. It's like when Jesus says, be sure to take the log out of your own eye before you try to get the speck of dust out of your friend or your neighbors or whoever it might be. So I quickly repented, and then I looked forward, and I thought to myself, look at you, you judgmental guy. Here you have, I don't know, but 10, 12 feet, maybe 3 or 4 meters in front of me. If I just edge up more and give all of that traffic an opportunity to move forward, maybe, just maybe, that person who was who was trying to get into the middle lane, they'll be able to move freely in and get the flow of traffic going. And lo and behold, wouldn't you believe it, that the traffic ended up, after about 30 seconds to a minute, everyone moved up because everyone's anxious to go home. It's amazing, actually, how human beings do that. We all just want to move up that 1 extra inch or whatever it might be. And the person was able to merge into traffic, and just the throng of cars was able to come through. And that just got me thinking as I was driving to my next work. It was rush hour traffic going home for most people. I was driving into my work in the evening, and it got me to think, how many times do we make these selfless choices? How many times do we actually put ourselves out there and do things that are good for another person, and just put ourselves in a situation that might not be the most ideal for us to make someone else's life that much better? Now, I think a lot of the times we are capable of doing this when we are in a comfortable situation, or when we are in a situation that people are watching us, because there's the instant gratification. But I really think that it's when no one is watching, when no one else is going to know, and granted, I'm sharing with you about it now online to dozens of you, hundreds of you, thousands of you, who knows how many people will watch this video in particular. But the main idea is, how many times in a day or a week or a month or a year are we making selfless mini little sacrifices, and do they actually matter? I believe they do. I believe they really do, actually. I believe they do for a number of reasons. I believe that in the spiritual realm, it is causing, like we talked about yesterday, a bit of a witness, or the mystery of God's handiwork going out to the beings, the angels, whoever might be, like it talks about in Ephesians chapter 3, verse 10. I believe that it's also working out for the people who are being blessed by the actions that you're committing. And they may not even know that you're purposefully, intentionally trying to do something super positive for them. It definitely affects the people who may see you or may be around you in the way that you're dealing and treating with other people, and how they see you living your life. But I'd say most importantly, it helps you out as a person. It helps you out to be that much more aware of what's going on around you. And I think that is the real crux of the matter. Are we able to make those changes that are selfless, that will cause other people to benefit? Are we going to take a situation that could be, just us minding our own business, and can we, within safety, within boundaries, can we make a decision to really help people to potentially even be in a posture or heart situation that we're able to bless other people? And I think this, when you practice this enough, this starts to infiltrate a lot of the areas of your life. I think it, in the smaller ways, I'm sure it'll change the way that you feel. Like, I know that after I did that, I felt fantastic. I just saw all these cars moving, and I just thought all at one time, that 1 or 2 extra minutes between a parent getting home, or like I used to when I used to work at the city of Toronto, if you were working for a after school program, if for every minute that you were late, you'd have to pay $1, and usually they'd start off with like a $5 fine. Now, we were pretty lenient because we knew a lot of these parents were going through a lot already, so we didn't want to, charge them. But that 1 minute can be the difference between feeling anxiety and lateness and being late again, and just pulling in just in time. So that obviously made me feel good. Or maybe it's the young person who's trying to get to their evening job. Just like myself, I'm going to my evening work at the church, and it might help them to just feel a little bit more relaxed and at ease. It could be helping a ambulance that's hundreds of meters back or thousands of meters back, a few kilometers back, and they're trying desperately with their sirens on and you can't hear them, and they're just trying to get through traffic. So in so many ways, do our little changes help us, especially on the road, because there's so many different occurrences that are happening all at one time. Now, I say that also with the idea that you got to be safe on the road. One of my best friends has always chided me and has always got at me that sometimes I can be too nice on the road, and being too nice can sometimes be very dangerous. Now, what does he mean by that? Well, what he basically is saying is that if I'm super wonderful, super kind, and I'm just letting everyone in and everything's wonderful and everything's great, well, people are not actually used to that. And that's kind of crazy, but because they're not used to it, people are there's a higher chance that people are going to make mistakes. So I'll give you, for instance, so say you're letting someone, cutting into traffic, and they're not used to it. Well, all of a sudden, okay, they're a little bit more they're trying to be kind to you. They're not being as trepidatious as they could be, and they just kind of dart out. And, they were under the impression that maybe when you waved them in, that it was safe. Just like what actually happened to me today. I had a set of pedestrians who were very kind. They waved another car through, and they waved myself through, and I was at a blind spot, and the car actually took the turn towards in my double lane, very cavalierly. And so I, didn't even think, it was just muscle memory. So I started to pull out, and there was a car barreling down on that guy who was turning. So I had to slam on my brakes. Thankfully, the pedestrians were okay. But that wonderful act of kindness from the pedestrian, they weren't looking around. They weren't, helping me to decipher or see who's behind the bushes, the hedges. So time and time again, I've been reminded of my friend's wisdom that you can be nice, but you have to also be very aware of what your niceness may or may not be doing, or causing, even in some ways, other people to stumble or not feel good about themselves or their situation. You have to be very cognitive about the situations and how you give and how you love, and your posture, your heart posture, because you can do a lot of good things with the right heart, but if they're not going to really help the person who's in need or the person who's struggling, it may be a good thing for you, make you feel better, but that's not the point of the giving. The giving is to bless other people, and for them to receive that blessing properly. So yeah, I started just as I was driving to the church, and then after on my drive home, I was just pondering and thinking about all the little nuanced changes that we make in life that could have some huge benefits, or could just change the outlook of our day. The first one, again, like I said before, was just the way that we interact with our world. It starts to change our behaviors and habits. And then it starts to extend into like the medium range side of things, how we see the world in our day to day, not just in the moment by moment in the little ways, but I think that the little change that we make starts to infiltrate into our day to day lives, and we start thinking about, well, how is it going to feel like when the people who I'm seeing in those day to days are treated differently, or you do an act of kindness, or you remember a coworker's favorite snack and you occasionally buy it for them, especially when they have the date of one of their family members who passed away, or in mind, or you just you're a little bit more cognitive of your kids, and they were telling you that they were a little nervous of like recently one of my daughters was telling me she was nervous of bumblebees because she had a dream that bumblebees were giving her problems. So what we did was, we told her it was probably hornets, because hornets usually give problems. And when we had her little birthday party there the last 2 years at this really nice park, there was tons of these what they call sand hornets that dig these tunnels, and they'll come out. And thankfully, no one's gotten stung, but the kids are freaking out. The parents are freaking out. So what I did was I just, reminded her of how wonderful the bumblebees are and what they do, and on the flowers. And then I found really cute pictures of bumblebees to show her, and she really just loved them. So when we were at this was a couple weeks ago, when we were at IKEA, they actually have these little bumblebee mascots, these little bumblebee toys, and she was actually the one who used to be terrified of bees, and she was the one who went over and she said, "Oh no, a bee, Daddy, a bee!" And she started playfully running. I got the bee. She was a little nervous to touch it, but she touched it, she grabbed it, she hugged it. Yeah, as I land the plane here, I'll just recap. I think that we have an opportunity to make choices every day that are going to really help us to get closer to God and better, and treat people better, and inevitably make our lives better, and push away the poison, push away the ugly, the miserable in our lives, and allow us to be that much more free. Like I shared in the analogy with the car starting to flow, they may never even know that I made that small kind gesture, and that it didn't even cost me anything, but I know that things are free flowing better. People are getting to their destination a little bit better because I made that decision. And as you do that more and more, that will change the way you look at your week to week, the way you look at, or month to month, and the way you look at your coworkers, the way you look at your family members, and your attentiveness to the rhythms of the day to day and the week to week and the month to month. And I promise you, that will inevitably help you to make those long term lifestyle changes and choices. And those, I promise you, will make a big, humongous difference in the long term. You'll hear this analogy from me 100 times, but one of my mentors told me that it is the only way to turn a jumbo jet is very slowly. So say you want to go from, I don't know, let's say Florida, and instead of you wanting to go to Montreal, you wanted to go to Vancouver. Well, you could, halfway through the flight, all of a sudden rip on the steering gear and go one side and say, we got to start tracking, all the way to Vancouver from Montreal. Instead of going kind of a north-south, you got to go a northwest. But the thing is, if you do that, you will rip that jumbo jet in half. What you have to do is make micro adjustments. And those may not seem huge, But as you split off into that trajectory, every millimeter, every centimeter that you're shifting that gear, and every degree on, the longitude and latitude, it is shifting hundreds of kilometers every couple minutes or every couple hours, right? And that shift will inevitably, over 2-3 hours, get you, or 4 or 5 hours, get you to that destination. You don't have to rip on the steering wheel, on the gears in your life, on the choices that you make. But when you are faced with that choice to do good, unless you are exhausted, unless you're going to make a mistake, unless you're going to hurt yourself, unless there's a really negative thing or you need to set up boundaries, try to always make that choice, that change, because it will help you. I can promise you that. If you'd like to see any more videos on dad doing dishes, check out this playlist over here. If you'd like to subscribe, do that here. I'd love if you hit the like button and subscribe. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Have yourself a wonderful day, evening, morning, or night. God bless.